Good evening, everybody. Good evening, India. Good evening, Asia. Good evening, Europe. Good evening, good morning, probably United States of America, and good night, Australia, probably. So today we have a medical doctor, our very own Kestutis Motulonis. He helped already more than 40,000 people around the world to maintain and to have a much better long-term health. And today we asked him to go through all the problems which we faced in today's world with our diet, with to which results it leads. And definitely you will be able to use that for your practice if you're a doctor right now watching it, or if you are our partner, you will be able to share this recording later on with any doctor, practitioner, or possible customer to get them our products in more conscious way. So please, Cash, introduce yourself and let's start our fantastic webinar today.
Thank you so much. So I will share my screen right away. So my name is Kestutis Motulonis. I'm a medical doctor, and today I'm having this amazing approach that everyone can do. Anyone can do what I will do today, but that's nonetheless important. So let's see. Anyone can check World Health Organization statistical data on leading causes of death. This is in high-income societies, but it could be Googled what are the leading causes in any country. Now, what are the causes of those conditions, like ischemic heart disease? So that's number one killer in today's world. So what are the causes of it? Can they be prevented? So my main goal is to prevent the diseases, to prevent the conditions, if that is possible. So today my presentation is about how can we find out what's the most important and how do we prevent those from happening. So ischemic heart disease, let's Google it. And that can do anyone can do that. So if you check on myocardial infarction, right? That's ischemic heart disease leads to myocardial infarction, and that could be a cause of death, and that is the number one killer in the world. So what are the causes? So if we go to Wikipedia and we check, here's what we find. Primary prevention. So it's primary prevention means that someone did not ever have myocardial infarction, and we want to prevent it from happening, because secondary prevention is when someone already had it, and it's a prevention from a second heart attack, so to say. And here's what Wikipedia says. Lifestyle is the number one preventative measure. So, and what is in that lifestyle? This is aerobic exercise is something anyone can do. Quitting smoking, that's a choice. That's someone can choose to do that or not to do that. Then again, diet, olive oil, rapeseed oil, that's polyunsaturated fats, reducing sugar intake, consuming 5 portions of fruits and vegetables per day, 2 or more portions of fish per week, Mediterranean diet. So let's sum it up. First, physical exertion. Second, breathing only fresh air. That's what I recommend to tell yourself if you are a smoker. If you will repeat it to yourself that you want to breathe only fresh air every day, from morning till evening, every minute of your life, that might help you quit smoking. Because if you repeat to yourself, quit smoking, that sentence includes smoking, and that might actually uh, lead you to even more smoking. So the best phrase to repeat to quit smoking is I want to breathe just the fresh air. So next, nutrition, 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 nutrition. That's the preventative measures. So the the conclusion is to prevent myocardial infarction, what Wikipedia says is nutrition. And if you study it even in more detail, you will see that it's omega 3s, omega 9s, fruits and vegetables, and physical activity and fresh air only. Now, let's see. Another cause is that causes myocardial infarction is high blood pressure. Now, it's a risk factor. Now, where does this come from? Let's Google this one, hypertension. That's if you write in Google high blood pressure, Wikipedia, you will get hypertension as the first option. And if you click there and you see what's the prevention, what's the preventative measures from hypertension. So maintain normal body weight, that's nutrition. Reduce dietary sodium, that's nutrition. Engage in regular aerobic physical activity, that's physical activity. Limit alcohol consumption, and that's also nutrition and nutritional choices. And consume a diet rich in fruit and veg. That's the same actually as heart attack prevention. So the conclusion is the same: nutrition and physical activity. So diabetes is the next cause that leads to heart attack, to myocardial infarction, to the number one killer in the world. So what causes diabetes? And there are several types of diabetes, but if you write diabetes Wikipedia, you get diabetes and you get the results. And type number one diabetes is usually starts in a very young age. And we will not talk about that today because that would be a bit more complicated. But number two diabetes is prevented. We can prevent in most of the cases. And here, what Wikipedia says about prevention, primarily due to lifestyle factors. And that's again, nutrition. So obesity would lead to type 2 diabetes. Physical activity, again, poor diet, stress, and so on. So that's again nutrition. And again, emotional management. There's also important in that stress release. So if we know how to manage our emotions, that would be a good choice. And then nutrition again. Sugar, sweetened drinks would lead to type 2 diabetes. Trans fats and too much saturated fat in our diets. So the conclusion is the same. So these are the same risk factors for diabetes. So nutrition, physical activity, emotional management. So what else could lead to heart attack? Lack of exercise, we already talked about that. Obesity, that's again nutrition. And high blood cholesterol. Okay, let's Google where does the high blood cholesterol come from. So if we write into Google high blood cholesterol Wikipedia, we get hypercholesterolemia. And if we check what are the causes, it's again the same. That's nutrition, weight, diet, stress. So it's emotional management. And smoking again. So that's breathing fresh air would be the recommendation. And physical activity and nutrition again. So it's the same. These same causes lead to those different conditions. So nutrition, physical activity, fresh air only, emotional management. Okay, so let's sum it up. What the sources that you can Google recommend to avoid heart attack or to avoid ischemic heart disease or myocardial infarction. That's all synonyms of the same condition. And our conclusion today that we do is nutrition, physical activity, fresh air, and management of emotions. So this is cause number one. Now, cause number two of death today is Alzheimer's. Let's investigate Alzheimer's and let's see what are the causes that cause Alzheimer's. So if you write Alzheimer's Wikipedia, Alzheimer's disease, now causes, age-related. One of the causes, so the causes are still unknown. That's what Wikipedia says. But here's what my investigation leads to. Age-related, can there be, so if we go back and see Alzheimer's, it increased 4 times, almost 4 times more deaths over the last 20 years. So it was 4 times less 20 years ago, and it is 4 times more today. So can age be something that influenced it? Do we really have 4 times more elderly people today than 20 years ago? And here's what the statistical data shows, that people over 65 years of age in 2000, in the year 2000, there were close to 7% of all the population, people who are over 65 years. Today, in 2019, well, it's 21, but we are investigating the causes from 2020, 2000, and 2019. So it's 9%. So it's only 2% increase. That cannot lead to 4 times more Alzheimer's. So we cannot relate 4 times more Alzheimer's to age-related cause. So what is another cause that is not age-related? And that's, again, lifestyle. So it's modifiable factors: diet, cardiovascular risk, hypercholesterolemia, hypertension, diabetes, and smoking. And we are back to the same causes. It's nutrition, it's physical activity, it's fresh air only, breathing, and emotions. So the killer number 2 in the world has the same preventative measures as ischemic heart disease. So nutrition, physical activity, fresh air, emotions. Now let's see stroke. Stroke is the number 3 killer in the world. Now if we Google stroke, it's again the same. That's the same nutrition, it's physical activity, it's fresh air, it's emotions. So I'm gonna roll a bit faster forward because now we're gonna repeat ourselves again and again and again. So stroke, nutrition, physical activity, fresh air, emotions. Now, how about cancer? Number 4 killer is lung cancer. Now, if we Google lung cancer, here's what it says. 90% of lung cancer deaths in men and 70% of those in women during year 2000 was attributed to smoking. So, or any, well, this is 90% of men. So it's only 10% left from other causes. So it's a choice. It's a choice to either breathe only fresh air or breathe something else. As well as other causes are radon gas and asbestos and air pollution. And that we can control partially, but they are only 10% of the causes. The main is something that we can avoid. So, fresh air breathing only. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, that's number 5. Now let's investigate this. Primary cause is tobacco smoking. 80 to 95% of those who got chronic obstructive pulmonary disease were smokers. It's again preventative. So we can prevent it if fresh air breathing only is returned back to life, right? So what's next? Lower respiratory infections. Let's investigate this. So vaccination and malnutrition, those two are so good nutrition and vaccination. So it's basically with good nutrition and good choices, we have better immune system, and with vaccination, we also help our immune system to cope with that situation even better. So this is vaccination, nutrition, immune system. Colorectal cancers. Now, what are the causes of those? And here's what we find. High intake of fat. It's again nutrition. Sugar, alcohol, red meat, processed meats and processed foods, obesity, smoking, so it's again fresh air, and physical exercise. So again, the same causes. It's nutrition. If we read further, it's nutrition and fresh air and so on. So it's the same. Now, well, I will just leave kidney diseases as a separate thing. It's too much to talk about. But hypertensive heart disease is the same what we talked about already, and diabetes mellitus, diabetes we already talked about. So we come to the conclusion. Here's what are the prevention measures for the first 10 killers in the world. And that's nutrition, physical activity, fresh air, only breathing, emotions, and immune system. Now, I cannot help that much with physical activity because that's your choice. And if you do good choices, and that doesn't mean you got to be a sport person. That means like walking 10,000 steps every day, or having very mild physical exertion 3 times per week for 1 hour. Um, so it's not being a sport person. It's just having some physical activity. Now, fresh air only breathing, I cannot help you with that either, because that's somebody who chooses to do this or that. So you can help yourself. You can take charge, take responsibility for that, and not do that. Not breathe something that is not fresh air. Emotion management, that's something I cannot help either. An immune system, some choices that improves immune system. But what I can help you with is nutrition. And here, that's where we need a professional, because nutrition is a field where it's not difficult, but it's not simple. So it's not that most of the people, they cannot fix those things themselves. And how do I know that? Because we do testing. So omega 3s can already be tested in your cells, in cells of any individual on the planet. And so then number two is prebiotic fiber. And we, all of us in today's societies, we lack prebiotic fibers. We lack phyto micronutrients that come from vegetables and fruits. And they were also mentioned in my previous presentation, and from the data that we Googled. And number four recommendation is ALARA, if you are not familiar what that means, is as low as reasonably achievable. So eating as low as you can of processed foods. Even I do sometimes. It's a birthday and I have a small piece of cake, or I have a candy, and that's a processed food. And sometimes I have something that I should not be eating, but time to time, I think that that would not kill me if I do it just a little bit sometimes. but I do it as low as I can achieve. So now let's talk about omega-3s and polyphenols. How do we return them back? And how do we test? How do we measure how much of those you have in your system? There is an independent laboratory in Norway, in Oslo. You can choose any other independent laboratory. It's just the laboratory where we do the blood testing. So it's called Vitas Analytical Services. And Zinzino is just a customer of this laboratory. So we are intermediate part between the customer and the laboratory. It's not our business. It's just helping people to get tested, to see the scores, and using it as an instrument. Now, what did the tests show, and how many tests are already made? And I should update the slides because every week the numbers change, and now it's over 605,000 blood tests. And I should check the website. Maybe it's already over 610,000 up till now. And what did the tests show about omega-6 to omega-3 ratio? And you know that that's going to be, if that ratio is not good, that would influence your body in a very, very bad way. And here's what the results showed out of those 600,000 tests. 97% of all people tested, the tests were bad. They were outside the norm, way, way, way outside the norm. So 99% of Americans, and I believe that 99% of those tests made in India, and 98% of those in Australia. And I could bet that 98 to 99 of those in many countries in Europe. 95% is only in Scandinavia. But it's still not a very good score. 95 scored bad. And how does that influence our cells? So omega-6s increase inflammation in every cell. Omega-3s should decrease inflammation, but there is lack of omega-3 in our diets. And there is overload of omega-6 in our diets. And that's what we see in those blood tests. So this is the situation that makes every cell operate not in optimal condition, but be in inflammation status and in bad metabolism. So substances, micronutrients, and many nutrients cross the cell membrane in a difficult, in a slower manner, so that the cells are starving a bit. They are malnutrition, even though you give all the nutrients to the body, but your cells would still be starving if the imbalance of omega-6 and omega-3 is there. And second thing is that cells have to get rid of the waste that they produce themselves during metabolism. So they use many different molecules to create energy and to make all the processes inside the cell happen. And those products that have to be moved out of the cell, they stay in the cell too long. So the cells are intoxicated because of that imbalance of omega-6 to omega-3. So, and that would influence your brain function, your hair quality, your heart function, your skin elasticity, your inner organs, immune system, joints and muscles, your eyes, and basically every system and organ in your body. That's not good. So it would be better to have good omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, which most of the people tested did not have. So now 3-to-1, so 3 times more omega-6 than omega-3 is still okay. But most of the people are 15 to 25-to-1. Children in Europe are 25-to-1. And adults in United States, in India are 25-to-1, and kids are even worse, 30, 40-to-1 and worse. So this is a danger zone. This is where the consequences will come from. So now let's talk a bit about how do we solve this problem. Can we solve it? Can we return omega-3s back to our cells? Is it possible? Well, there are plenty of omega-3 supplements, fish fats, and well, we could be eating more fish. Would that help? And the answer is no. We tested those people who ate more fish. They were not back at the norm. We tested those people who were taking omega-3 supplements and fish fats. They were not back at the norm. What is the reason? Where was the mistake? And here is the explanation. Omega-3 supplement, it's crucial what antioxidant is used to protect omega-3s in the supplement. And if the antioxidant is too weak to protect omega-3s inside the body, then those omega-3s oxidize inside the body, in the stomach, in the gut, in the bloodstream, in your liver. And that's not good. That might even lead to bad consequences. It's not good, and it doesn't work. The oxidized omega-3 is not usable for the body anymore. So weak antioxidants is a bad choice to produce omega-3 supplement. And most of the supplements, they are very low in dosage, 750 milligrams per day, or 1,000 milligrams, or even 1,500 milligrams. That may have worked 30 years, 20 years ago, but not today. Here's what works today. First, the omega-3 supplement has to be stabilized with antioxidants, fat-soluble antioxidants that are capable of protecting omega-3 inside the body. So krill oils have astaxanthin, and that's not enough to protect the omega-3s inside the body. And concentrated omega-3s and cod liver oils, they are protected by vitamin E, that's tocopherols, and that may not be enough. And the mixture of omega-3s with polyphenols, that's the green bar here, that mixture led to no oxidation of omega-3s inside the body and to good results. So this is how a good supplement, a good mixture, a good solution to return back to normal omega-3 levels in the body looks like. It's very strong and a lot of different fat-soluble antioxidants. It's polyphenols, it's hydroxytyrosol inside of it, inside of group of polyphenols, and tocopherols. So this high bar, high green bar, represents more and stronger antioxidants. And the red, the high red bar represents the dosage. We start with testing. We start from 3,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA, or omega-3 active ingredients, per day, per adult. And I personally, I take 6,000 milligrams for my blood test to be at the normal ratio. My blood test today is 1.721 of omega-6 to omega-3, and I needed 6,000 milligrams. And here's a caution. No one, I'm not recommending, please note that, I'm not recommending to take the supplements, high doses of supplements with only tocopherols. That would be a mistake. That may lead to bad consequences. If you want to take those high doses, 3,000, 5,000 milligrams of omega-3s per day, that should come with polyphenols. That's a must. So only polyphenols protect omega-3s enough inside the body. So now the other question is, maybe that costs much more than the other supplements. And that looks like logical, because there are much more of those ingredients in the supplement. And the answer is actually no. You pay less buying balanced oil from Zinzino than most of the companies take for their omega-3s. There is only one thing to do. You should learn how to compare those products. So if you compare the same with the same, that would be 3,000 milligrams with 3,000 milligrams of another product. And why am I picking 3,000, right? That's because we couldn't find good green tests with lower than 3,000 milligram dose. So this is the minimum. And so there are two things that we need to compare. First, antioxidants used in the product, and if it's only tocopherols or not specified at all, that's not the best solution. And second is we measure according to the same amount of omega-3s, and then we calculate the price. So you can see that some companies take 14 euros, some companies take 4 euros for the same 3,000 milligrams as we do. But in our mixture, there's also polyphenols. So this is more effective, this is safer, and it's cheaper. So this is crushing a competitive advantage against all the rest, mostly all of the rest of the omega-3 supplements on the market. So this is how it looks. Balanced oil, that's first generation. It's high content of polyphenols, high content of omega-3 inside the bottle. And that's the only thing that we sell today in global markets. So in India, in many other markets. And in main markets, we also have other options like Aquex that dissolves in water. We also have vegan that is made out of algae, not out of fish. And we also have capsules, soft gels, for those who care about that. So with those products, you should not trust or believe in anyone. You should test it. That's a test-based nutrition. That's not a guess-based nutrition. We test before we start taking the product. We test 4 months into taking the product. And then we see if our omega-3 levels return back to normal. And that would be your dietary change according to your tests. So basically, here's how it looks. If you buy your food in a shop, in a regular shop, and we measure your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, in most of the cases, what we see is 20 to 1, 25 to 1, 15 to 1. So 15 times more omega-6s than omega-3s. So you need more omega-3s in your diet, but those who tried to make it happen, they were still at 15 or 10 to 1 or 20 to 1. So it means that they were not successful in solving this riddle. Now with us, what you do, you buy from us more of omega-3 in your diet that is stabilized in the right way. And that would force some of the omega-6s out of your system. So you get a more balanced nutrition. That's the only thing you get with balanced oil. So it's a more balanced nutrition, and polyphenols is also something that is good for your system. That's an antioxidant that works its own things in the body that are beneficial. So this is what you do. So Zinzina is just selling balancing solution for your food, for your diet, for your nutrition. So now, and you test it. You test and you see that that works. So in 4 months, and if it's still not at 100%, your omega-3 level, you increase the dose and you do the test until you know what is your personal dose. So I increased my dose step by step until I got my green test, all the parameters green. So this is number one in nutrition to be fixed today. Now, well, my scores were 11 to 1, although I was taking omega-3 supplements. Now it's 1.7 to 1 with balance oil. And I'm taking, as I told you, 6,000 milligrams of omega-3. That means close to 30 milliliters of balance oil every day. Now, what's the next solution? So omega-3s and polyphenols, that's number one. Number two is prebiotic fiber. I know that you cannot get it in every market, but that's to come. So I have to explain about that also. That's 5 different lengths of prebiotic fiber blend. That's all the lengths of prebiotic fiber that you need in your gut. So that the whole large intestine is covered with this fiber, and you have good bacteria growing in all the length of your large intestine, not just in some parts and some not. So that's a must also in today's diet, because we are not eating enough of those fibers, and that leads to bad consequences with gastrointestinal tract and colorectal situations and so on. Because if you are lacking fiber, then good bacteria die in your gut. They are not eating your gut. They are not eating anything else. Their diet is prebiotic fiber. So if they have not enough of it, then bad bacteria start to grow in the gut. And that leads to all those different bad consequences. So prebiotic fiber is a must. Now, number 3 is phyto and micronutrients. They are not yet all in all markets also, only in open markets of Zinzino, but it's coming. So I will inform you about that also. So phyto and micronutrients, 4 capsules of Extend, so-called product, equals 9.5 kilograms of fresh vegetables, fruits, seeds, and yeast, and many different other ingredients. That's all natural, by the way. Plus on every product means that everything in the product is natural, no synthetic ingredients. That's all that comes from nature. And so that's a very healthy choice. I take 4 capsules every day, and I take 2 scoops of xenobiotic, of the prebiotic fiber that I just showed. So this is one or another. I either have to eat those 9 kilograms of those vegetables and fruits and everything, but I cannot do that. That's impossible for me. That's too much and too difficult. And actually, if I were doing that, I would be eating all those chemicals that are used to produce to grow those vegetables and fruits, or to transport them to Europe. So that would not be good for my health. So I would rather choose a clean solution that's called Extend, that has no pollutants in it, and has all the active ingredients that I need from those vegetables and fruits, all the phyto and micronutrients. So I choose this. I take 4 capsules, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. So this is what we call Zinzino Health Protocol. So it's doing the test first and measuring your omega-3s in the cells. Number 2 is fixing that omega-6 to omega-3 ratio and returning your omega-3s back to normal ratios. Number 3 is xenobiotic, that's prebiotic fiber. Number 4 is vegetables and fruits inside the Extend. So that's micro and phytonutrients. That's 3 things and the test. And as low as reasonably achievable of processed food. So as low as we can get, well, without becoming a fanatic at that, because sometimes we take a candy or something, so, or dessert. So and later on during the whole year, I do the test only once per year. That is enough, I believe. If I don't change my lifestyle that much, that is enough, 1 time per year. So the rest of the year, I use 3 products. That's Balance, Xenobiotic, and Extend. Well, I use some additional products, but those are the most important ones. So now, should you be a doctor or any other type of specialist to understand this, or to Google this, to research this? Well, and also to share this information with others. And I don't know what's your answer to this, but my answer to this is no. There's no need to be a doctor. There's no need to be any type of specialist. It's just simple, very simple things either good things chosen to do every day or bad things, bad choices every day. That's something that, so who's responsible for those choices? Is that a state? Is that your country? Is that the doctors? Is that dietists? Or is it you? And my answer that it's you. No one else can stand at your refrigerator every morning and check if you've taken the balance oil. No one can force you to take xenobiotic, the prebiotic fibers. No one can make you take 4 capsules of Extend. That's only you. That's your choice. You can make this choice and live a healthy life, or you can continue with bad choices and then continue getting the bad consequences. So these are the biggest mistakes most of the people do that I promise in the end of this presentation. Believing that living a healthy life is difficult, painful, expensive, or something else. Well, it is not. Well, that's what I explained. That's quite easy. Just a little bit of physical exertion, breathing just fresh air, taking several very simple uh, solutions, simple products. It's not difficult to do that. Just 2 capsules of Extend in the morning, couple scoops of Xenobiotic, and a dosage cup of balanced oil, and 2 more capsules of Extend in the evening. And the rest is just food, trying to avoid um, um processed foods and taking as much as natural food as you can. That's not difficult. That's just the choice. Now, second biggest mistake is not taking responsibility for your own everyday choices and consequences. Well, blaming some doctors, or blaming some pharmaceutical industries, or blaming uh, whatever structures, but not yourself. That's us. We have to do this. This is not somebody else's responsibility. Overestimating the powers of modern medical profession. Well, medical profession is very high today, and well, if we talk about trauma, let's say car accidents, that's state of art what medical profession can do. But if we talk about long-term poisoning ourselves or unbalanced diet, sometimes medical profession is powerless to help you when the consequences come. So don't overestimate doctors and medical profession. uh, Take your own responsibility for the choices you make and keep your body healthy, because where are you going to live if you spoil this body that you have? Now, false belief that prevention is not for me. So many people that I meet, they believe that this is for someone else. They think they are okay, maybe they think they are still quite healthy. That's for every one of us. That's when we do the testing, the tests, your blood does not lie. So if we take your blood and there is a big imbalance of omega-6 to omega-3, that will lead to consequences. Then prevention is for you. So avoiding blood testing, that's a very big mistake, because then you can convince yourself that you don't need it. But if you do the blood test, your blood doesn't lie, and if it shows bad result, you should take some measures. You should take um, a course correction. Next, misconception. What is the norm? That is today's very misleading concept, because most of the people think that normal is as most of the people. So they look at their friends, they look at their relatives, they look at people around them, and they say, oh, that's normal to be sick time to time. That's normal to have some headache. That's normal to have some back pains. That's normal to have those inflammations. And because everyone has those. That's a misconception of the norm. The norm of human being is what genetic can do for you. So if your genetic is, if you let your genetic to have all the ingredients that your body needs and the function, you do some physical exertion and you don't breathe poison into yourself, then your genetic will show what is your norm. And that might surprise you, because your norm might be much, much better than you think. That's what happened with me. That was my mistake. I thought I was okay. But 10 years ago, I started doing what I'm telling you today, what I'm explaining today. And my health transformed just drastically, radically. I had those pains. I had to use some medication, and today I use zero medication. I have zero pains. My functions improved. I look younger than I looked 10 years ago. So that's just it's difficult to express in words. That's something you got to see with your own eyes. Now, next mistake, overload of irrelevant information and thus subsequent ignoring of important. Well, when people are overloaded with information, irrelevant information, they get a tendency to reject everything. And the right, the correct information is just rejected by default. That's a mistake. That's a mistake most people do. And I did the same. So I'm no better than everyone else. Now, groundless belief that nutrition has lower importance than it really does. Well, that's what I learned over the last 10 years. And before that, before I became a doctor, I was in professional sport. I was a downhill skier, and I had a karate club. I used to do martial arts. I wanted peak performance from my body, but I was ignoring the fact that nutrition is so important. Well, I thought that maybe I don't need those micronutrients and those omega 3s and everything. Well, my body would be just fine, and I would be at maximum just with training. And that was actually a groundless belief that was based on nothing. That was just based on willingness not to do good choices. So nutrition is so much more important than most of the people think. And well, you can test my words. You can test it on yourself. Just try to use Zinzino Health Protocol for half a year, for 1 year, for 2 years, and I would be wasting my time talking, because you would know all of it. You would know it from your own body. Your own body will show it to you. So here's my sincere wish to you. Take responsibility. Don't blame anyone. It's just you. That's simple choices. Choose those simple everyday solutions. Choose what is simple and effective, what works, but what is simple to do. Because people stop doing what's complicated, but they can continue doing what's simple. Stick to those solutions and live a healthy and long life. Thank you so much for today. I thank Andrew for organizing today's meeting with you. I'm so happy that I had this chance to share my knowledge and my experience. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Kesh, for a fantastic lecture. And I hope everyone who will watch it later on, it will be really useful for all your customers, doctors, and businesses around the world. And